Well, if you didn't know already, it's WrestleMania season. And if you watched Raw, you definitely probably wouldn't know. So the same thing goes for SmackDown. You would think with them having the Fox deal and everything, they'd be excited. Any other big company, we got a Fox deal. Oh, this is exciting. We could try all these different things. Fox kind of lets you have a little bit more freedom. We could be raunchier. We have more opportunities for sponsors. Fox wants to have WrestleMania on. That's the rumor, right? I think it's even been partially confirmed that they said that. But, we've got Saudi Arabia. We care more about that. But, you watch the show, and it's like they're barely even building for Super Showdown. It doesn't even look like they even really care about either big show. And, they're just, once again, coasting. And this is nothing new. For how many years now has WrestleMania season not felt like WrestleMania season? I felt like I've spoken that exact line at least a dozen times here on this channel. And, as many years as we've done reviews here on this channel, it is really, it's really gotten monotonous. I'm really sick and tired of saying that WrestleMania season doesn't feel like WrestleMania season, because it never does. For all the people that always say that I just want to bash this show and everything, it's like I would want to be a wrestling fan again. I would really love to come on here and give positive reviews and talk about great storylines and great character development. I think there would actually be even more to talk about is if it was a positive show. We could delve into deep storylines and discuss them, kind of like how we do movie reviews and game reviews here on this channel. We could really touch on a lot of different things, but here there's no substance. So the most I could do is either make fun of it or just bash it, because that's what it deserves. It deserves excessive, harsh criticism, because it is just that bad. So let's start dissecting this show and getting down to it. It's more than what it really deserves. So we start off with Randy Orton, and Matt Hardy wants an explanation. So they advertised a street fight, but Matt Hardy's too injured to have a street fight. Like, what? So they just all of a sudden decided at the last minute, no, you know what? We're going to play up the Matt Hardy injury. He's more hurt than we thought he was. But then shouldn't they kind of have known that when they made the match? Anyway, they change it. They went back to something old, they were doing this back in 2012, 2013, with wrestlers excessively apologizing. Randy Orton talks about, Edge is like a brother to me. I'm sorry. And guys, do you remember when I said the night after the Rumble, the Raw after the Rumble? Go check my review out where I said they're not going to do a very good job at explaining this story. We're lucky if we're going to get an explanation at all. And sure enough, what happens? We get no explanation for 2 whole weeks. And now we're hearing that Randy Orton, he's sorry for what he's done. Okay, first of all, why would he apologize? Why is he saying he's like a brother to him? I would say, I would give this the benefit of the doubt. If this wasn't WWE and they haven't done nearly a decade of bad television, I would say what a lot of the apologists say. Whoa, take it easy, buddy. They just started the storyline. Let's see how it plays out. No, we're not doing that. I'm not coming on here in this video and putting on some act. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how it plays out. No, we're going to be honest on here like we always are. This storyline sucks. It's bad. It's horrible. It's poorly written. It's not even really written at all when you think about it. What's really written here? What is Matt Hardy even doing there? We're talking about something, a rivalry that they had, a tag team rivalry, from 20 years ago. The other feud that they had was 15 years ago. We're talking about things that happened, a decade and a half ago. That's the most recent time that Edge and Matt Hardy had any type of interaction at all. First of all, this is Matt Hardy. It's not even Christian. Like, wouldn't it make more sense for it to be Christian? Because Christian was his kayfabe brother for so many years? Wouldn't that make more sense? No, but it's Matt Hardy because, well, it's, the best thing that we could do in the meantime. I don't know. Doesn't Christian work for them? Doesn't he have like a Legends deal or something with them? I don't know what the case is. He's an off-screen talent. He does the Edge and Christian show, which I guess that's not on the air anymore, but he's like on the panel sometimes. So, like, I don't know. They get Matt Hardy instead, which, I'm all for Matt Hardy getting, his just dues and getting TV time, which this guy should actually be one of the biggest stars in the company based on his character being over. But, instead it's Matt Hardy back again to being just a regular guy again, just plain old Matt Hardy. I want an explanation. So what happens? Matt Hardy grabs a chair when Orton returns to the ring. Orton gets the upper hand, hits him with the chair, multiple times and smashes his head with a concerto right on the steel steps. Or, was it really a concerto? It was just kind of just bashing his head on the steps with the steel chair. Like, if this wasn't pretty much the same exact spot from last week, I would say, okay, not bad. But here's the vital thing, the vital question that needs to be asked here. Wouldn't this have been the perfect time for Edge to return? Like what is Edge doing? Edge has taken multiple, concertos and been back the very next week. Here, Edge has been off for like 3 weeks straight since the Rumble. Like, is he going to come back? Okay, I understand what they're probably going to do. He's not going to come back until like Elimination Chamber or something like that, or the night after Elimination Chamber, or the night after Super Showdown, or whatever the case may be, with how many pay-per-views that there are between Mania and now. Whatever it is, Edge should have been there. He gets this massive response from the crowd. I've never heard a crowd be that alive for a wrestler in quite some time, mind you. Keep in mind, Hulk Hogan appeared on SmackDown. Now, he might have been on a Titantron, but it's Hulk Hogan nonetheless. And he gets booed. And you think about it, one of the most popular, maybe the most popular wrestler of all time, barely gets a reaction. Whatever reaction he did get, he gets booed. Then you've got Edge coming out, a massive reception from the crowd. You should be having this guy on every single show possible. Reap the benefits, but instead I feel like they're taking the Sting approach. We don't want people to get sick of him. Like, are they seriously using him sparingly? Or are they really trying to sell this injury? Because here's the thing I need to ask. Did Matt Hardy not take the same exact move last week? And he's showing up the following week. With Edge, this is 3 weeks later, and he's still not showing up. Are you kidding me? Like, are you honestly joking here? No, you couldn't be joking, because if you were joking, it would be a really bad joke, first of all. There's no excuse for this. No excuse whatsoever that you could possibly explain what's going on here. Matt Hardy took the same exact move. He's back the very next week. Edge? No. Okay, they're like the same age practically. I don't get it. I don't know if they want to make like Edge is more susceptible to injury because he just came back. But the thing is, he just came back. And you're doing the storyline that he's injured. I mean, how stupid, how dumb could a storyline be? And I don't want to hear it's a slow burn. I don't want to hear that garbage. I'm sick and tired of hearing all these excuses why they make all these crappy, horrible storylines where like the success is right under their nose. Show Edge, don't show him. You know, it's not like I'm being smarky. Ricochet's not wrestling enough matches or something like that. Or they really need to be pushing the 205 like this. No, I'm saying maybe you should have the former multi-time world champion Edge, one of the few guys left that's a genuine star, appear on your program that's not doing very well in the ratings. But it's just a thought. Just a thought, really. No biggie. Aleister Black defeats Eric Rowan. And mind you also, I'm sorry, I have to just say one more thing before we move on. Why is that opening the show like a big moment like that where like he's just, basically killing Matt Hardy there? And they don't go back to it. They say, hey, for more updates, check out WWE.com or check out our social media. No! Tell me on the show. Give me updates now about Matt Hardy. Screw going on your social media. I'm not doing that. Oh, I'm going to check out some kayfabe storylines online. No! I'm watching right now. Tell me what's going on. You know how to tell a story? Did you ever open up a book? Did you ever read Charlotte's Web? You know what that is? A story? It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Do you guys know how to tell stories? You are writers, right? I mean, I find it very hard to believe that Vince McMahon is single-handedly responsible for, because that would mean that just no story is allowed at all. A man that pushed stories for years, suddenly there's no story. I don't know what's going on. I really, just like I said all these years, I cannot figure it out. If it's one individual, if it's just McMahon, if it's a series of individuals, if people are too scared to speak up, I don't know what it is anymore. Quite frankly, I don't care because there's no point in caring because it's the same thing. Week after week, after month, after year, after decade. You see a theme here that maybe, just maybe the show is not going to get better. But once again, it's just a thought. No biggie, right? Aleister Black defeats Eric Rowan. So you built up Eric Rowan for like a few months already. I have barely been watching this, as you know. You haven't been getting Raw reviews consistently. But I've seen Eric Rowan's had constant squash matches. He's had a little creature in the cage. Which, of course, creative probably doesn't even know what's in the cage. They don't know what the payoff is here. Well, what you mean something's actually supposed to be in the cage? You mean there's supposed to be a payoff? You mean we can't just write random things and not have a reason behind them? I mean, that's the charm, right? Yeah, it's charm. It's really charming. I mean, a pointless storyline. So, what do? We've got two guys that aren't doing much. They're just having squash matches. One guy sitting down in the middle of the ring, Indian style, talking about God knows what. About him knocking on people's doors. He doesn't go on knocking on doors. He talks about everything that Aleister Black says he's going to do or says what's going to happen. Either he's a really bad prophet or he's a liar. Is that his character? No, it's not his character because they don't have characters. Instead, I don't know what he's supposed to be. They make this guy out to be a scary, almost vampire-style character coming up on a slab like he's coming out of a coffin. I don't know what he's supposed to be. The second coming of Gangrel, and then all of a sudden he just becomes a boring guy who keeps kicking people in the head. Just random jobbers, random indie guys getting their heads kicked off. Then, he's, I guess they say they try to disguise the bad booking as people are scared of him. Then he says he gets the bright idea almost a half a year later. Gee, you know what? I should probably go looking for opponents. Like, is there bookers on this show? That's right. Like, they don't have any authority figures. They don't have any GMs or anything. Right? Everyone knows that Paul Heyman is, like, writing the show. So, I don't get it. Like, you know, so Aleister Black is responsible for making his own matches. Like, I don't get it. Like, who's in charge here? Like, from the kayfabe perspective and in reality. Who's running this show? Who's writing this garbage? You built Eric Rowan up just to have him lose to another guy that's been being built up, and they've been both being built up in a very poor way. With like, you know, incomprehensible gimmicks. And just beating up ham and eggers. Like, this is the months and months of television, and then they just have some match that we're supposed to care about for some reason. I guess it was supposed to be, oh, these guys went undefeated for so long. You should care about this match. Oh, wow, I'm really caring a lot because these guys beat no-namers for months on end with no purpose or reason. Charlotte cut her promo in the ring. I don't understand why Rhea Ripley gets a big victory at NXT TakeOver, and now she doesn't even want to show up. It's just Charlotte cutting a promo to nobody. No response, no retort, no nothing. Wow, once again, what a great storyline. It's Mania season, guys. I'm so excited because there's no storylines, there's no character development, and barely nothing's happening. Charlotte's excuse for now wanting this match, oh, we really got to think hard about this one. It doesn't really make any sense. Why would Charlotte want to go backwards? Why would she want to win a title that she's already won and she's already gotten the superior titles on the main roster? Like I said, it's called the main roster for a reason. It's the main roster. That's where the most money and exposure is. Why would anyone want to regress and go back to NXT? Ask Finn Balor. Whatever. But the case of the matter here, the fact of the matter is, why would Charlotte want to win an NXT title? What purpose would she have for accepting this challenge? Did Rhea Ripley do something to her? Did she say something about Ric Flair? Did she insult him? Would she be forced into a match? No. Like, what I just said would probably be very uncreative and cliche, but at least there would be a storyline of some sort. At least there'd be a motive, right? And that's just something I just came up with right now. It's more than they thought, right? I thought of something in 2 seconds that they couldn't even think of, and this is their job. That's what you have to remember. This is their job. This is what the writers do all day. They sit around and think of ideas for a wrestling show. And they have 3 hours of television. So I don't know if Vince McMahon is just rewriting everything and making it horrible. I just find that hard to believe when you got Heyman and everybody. Like, there's got to be some good ideas that slip through. How can they all be bad? That's what doesn't make any sense. I just, you know, we could make this all real simple. We could be like JD, right? And be like, oh, it's all Vince McMahon's fault. No, I'm not doing that here. We're going to be realistic here. We're going to start blaming the people. Paul Heyman's the big shot, right? He knows it all. Like, well, okay, well, hey, obviously you don't know it all because the show sucks. I mean, like, really? This is a show that, like, I honestly think that if you probably watch some, like, 8-year-olds E-Fed, it'd probably be 10 times better than this. It'd probably be more comprehensible. Anyway, Riddick Moss defeats Mojo Rawley and R-Truth in a triple threat match for the 24/7 championship. And now, like, all of a sudden, like, I guess no one cares about the 24/7 rule. No one takes advantage of that anymore. You know, they did, like, try to get the title off of Riddick Moss on, you know, at the Funko Pop store. Anyway, like, okay, it's just really cheap. You know, like 24/7 hardcore championship knockoff stuff that's not even a quarter of the way as good. Those are some of the most classic segments for newer fans, younger fans. Go check that stuff out on the network. Seriously, go watch the Hardcore title, the 24/7 rule, and the stuff that Crash Holly did. That was some of the best stuff that you'll see for like in the year 2000. It was that good. That was getting somebody over, like a wrestler that was super tiny, like 5'6", 5'7", and they made him one of the most over guys in the company. Like actually, like getting big reactions. You know, so anyway, so don't tell me that Vince McMahon doesn't know how to get people over. Anyway, this, you know, Riddick Moss, like where did this guy come from? Now the guy's got a great physique, but I gotta say, like, where did he come from? He definitely looks like a wrestler, but where did he come from? Like seriously, he's just Mojo's friend, and we know nothing about him. Unless you go on Wikipedia and read about him, how are you supposed to know who this guy is? We weren't told. He teams up with Mojo for 2 weeks. They get tired of that. He turns on him. Like, when's the last time you've seen that? Like an instant turn on your partner. Not even a month together. Not even like a week together. And he turns on him. Anyway, like, remember how he won the title off of Mojo last week? That really slow, disastrous looking small package. This time, he hits an Oklahoma roll on him. Which, if you don't know what that move is, it's kind of like when you do like a somersault, flipping the guy over, like rolling him over onto the mat. Basically, it's like a fancier schoolboy pin. And the referee is like way out of position. Once again, he's like waving his hand underneath their shoulders. Like, it was the sloppiest thing I've ever seen. 2 weeks in a row of the sloppiest, most cringeworthy pinning I've ever seen in my life. And it was everything. It was a combination of the referee being out of position, just Riddick Moss, who's just thrown on television. It's not the guy's fault. If you had an opportunity to get on TV, you ain't going to turn it down. But obviously, the guy's not ready. A simple pin it's a disaster. Anyway, we've got Drew McIntyre defeating MVP, and like MVP like retired. They had a segment last week. It was MVP's Lounge. You know, it was okay. It was very basic. Basically, MVP was volunteering to be Drew McIntyre's manager. Paul Heyman comes out this week, talks about Brock Lesnar, and it's exactly what Drew McIntyre said. Coming out, saying his name 1,000 times. It's so tiresome. Like, just have Brock be there or get the hell out of here with Heyman already. Because honestly, it's him repeating himself over and over and over. And like, seriously, this is the genius who's writing the show. And I'm not going to say that I don't like Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has cut some great promos. Paul Heyman was a great replacement for Jerry the King Lawler back in 2001. He did some amazing commentary work. Look, the guy's had some great ideas. He had good ideas in ECW. He was a good SmackDown GM. When he was the writer on that show, he was really good. Had some good ideas for SmackDown. You know, so I can say that Heyman is creatively bankrupt. He's not. The guy is smart. But if he's the lead writer on this show, and he has himself out there, and no one writes this guy's promos, he hasn't cut an original promo in 8 years now, pretty much. 7 years, maybe, to be accurate, whatever you want to say. But this guy has literally been cutting the same exact promo for now, like the maybe, to be even a little bit more generous, since he beat The Undertaker for maybe 6 years. But it's been my client Brock, like the same thing over and over and over, emphasizing Brock Lesnar's name. It's not working. There's no one being drawn in anymore. I'm sorry, but you know, as much as I like Brock Lesnar, they've lost the luster. of having Brock Lesnar, be hyped up by Paul Heyman. Pretty much everybody knows by now that Brock Lesnar is only going to be there a few months out of the year on choice dates, and it's very predictable. And we all know that in the meantime, they're going to do maintenance. So what's the maintenance here? Heyman comes out, says that, Brock's not here, but MVP's got a problem with him. MVP comes out. MVP gets destroyed in 2 minutes. What's the point? Like, if they tried to maybe have a story there, and maybe MVP could, team up with Lesnar or something like that. But basically, they accomplished the same thing they did last week. He hit the Claymore on MVP, except this time it was a match. Was that necessary? Does MVP seriously have to have a match with Drew? He already basically just dominated him in that segment last week. So, sends him flying over the couch with the Claymore. Does he really need to do the same thing to him in an official wrestling match? What was the point of all that? I don't know what the deal is. If MVP really wants to retire, they said it was his last match with Rey Mysterio. He did it for his daughter, I think, or what was his daughter or son? For his kid. He did it for his kid. It was very sweet. He had his match, and that was about it. And I was like, okay. And then they wanted to bring him out for the MVP lounge one last time. But he's wrestling again. So this would lead me to believe that he wants to be a full-time talent or at least be a part-timer. So, you're going to just have him now lose another match? This guy returns. What a return. He loses every match he has. He gets his ass kicked by Drew McIntyre in his own segment. This is why this guy returns, so he can look like a goofball, so he can be a punching bag? Cringy Lynch comes out, and I mean, guys, it honestly, it's one thing after another with this show. I'm sorry. It's like, if I could say something good, I would. Look, I like these people. I like Drew McIntyre. I'm happy he won the Royal Rumble. I want to see Drew versus Brock for the title. I love MVP. I wasn't even that crazy about MVP during the Ruthless Aggression era, but seeing him now and seeing all the other goofballs on the roster that don't belong, like Ricochet and others, I love MVP. He's basically Hulk Hogan in comparison to a lot of these other goofballs. But Cringy Lynch comes out. She takes out, what was it, a bag or a wallet? Whatever it was. And she starts throwing money, $100 bills, down on the canvas, down on the mat, down on the ring. Why? Is she the $1 million man? Is she Tiger Alley Sin? Okay. This is a down payment for the beating I'm this is not clever. This is not funny. You're not coming off as a tough guy or tough woman or tough whatever you want to be called. This came off as goofy. This came off as cringy. This came off as bad. Really, really bad. And then Shayna Baszler proceeds to cut the most boring promo ever. Where she goes, I'm going to take a bite out of the competition. Oh my God. Do we really just have a pun in there? In the promo? And meanwhile, someone backstage is laughing their ass off. Well, you heard that? Take a bite out of the competition. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, you believe I wrote that and they actually aired that? Oh, yeah, it's funny. Real funny stuff. Great TV. WrestleMania season, right? Throwing dollar bills on there. Down. What? Honestly, does anyone not sit there and say, what are you doing? Throwing the money on the canvas? Down payment? like Shayna Baszler cutting this robotic, boring promo with puns about biting people. Like, she did a vicious act. She's a maniac. She bit a piece of this woman's skin off. She's a damn cannibal. She should be in the nut house. Instead, what's the storyline here? I'm making funny puns on the Titantron. Meanwhile, Becky is throwing money, making puns of it's pun night. Oh, really funny pun night. Let's make jokes and try to be clever, but sound absolutely idiotic, stupid, and childish. Like, do they really think adults watch this, or even kids, and think this is cool or funny? Wow, this is mad dope, son. I'm really loving this. Okay, like, anyway, we move on. Angel Garza and Lashley defeating Rusev and Humberto Carrillo. Am I actually watching Angel Garza pinning Rusev with a schoolboy? Did my eyes actually really just view that content right there? I'm not even going to, like, try to break this down. Okay, I get it. Rusev is having, like, contract disputes and everything like that. But, like, your television show is a complete and utter joke. Like, what happened with the Lashley Rusev over-the-top storyline? Not like this storyline was great or anything, but at least it was something. At least it took some type of an effort, or, as much of an effort as you could possibly get from the creative team nowadays. There was ideas there. Not like they were necessarily good, but it at least led me to believe that there's actually a pulse behind, those hands, with the pens. I mean, for a while I thought maybe that these shows were indeed being fed into an automated machine. I don't know. But let's move on. So we've got Kairi Sane and Asuka coming out. And, I don't know what it was. I know they've done this in the past, but they come out doing these Japanese promos, which, most people that, like, want Japanese wrestling or want to hear Japanese promos are probably watching New Japan. Like, honestly, the audience, like 99.9% of the audience is not understanding this promos going on at the same time. It's high-pitched shrilling. Oh my God, like, my ears. Like, what are they thinking here? Like, we all know that both of these girls, they know how to speak English here. And this is by no means trying to insult them. Saying that they don't know how to speak English fluently or effectively, like as a second language. But I'm just saying, why are we having them come out here cutting full-fledged Japanese promos and doing it in the most ear-grating way possible? Is there a point? Is anyone seriously watching this and enjoying it? Because I looked at Wade Keller's comments. He's not even enjoying it. That goofball's not even enjoying it. So, obviously that means that unless you're like the most die-hard, smarkiest person on the planet, you're probably not enjoying it either. Who? I have to say, who? Who back there? Who in the writing room? Who on Team Creative is saying, guys, you should go out there and cut promos in Japanese? And some idiot back there is like, that's a great idea. Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, there's like no one back there has a brain or is capable of their mind can't process thoughts that are actually good or of any quality. Like, I don't know. It honestly seems to me like times like this is honestly sabotage. Because how can anyone believe like that this is a good idea? And it's not like everything else was really bad. No, it was great, right? Everything on the show so far has been absolutely horrible. At least last week's show was like, oh, it wasn't good, but it wasn't like blindingly bad. I'm sorry. This show, just for some reason, was just so awful to me. Like, it really spoke to me on a level, like, they really seem to be going out of their way to be extra cringy this week. And I'm pretty sure it had a lot to do with the cringy Lynch promo. Yeah, it had a lot to do with that one. I'm quite sure. So they have a match with Natalya. Kari Singh ends up getting a count-out victory on Natalya. Wow, great match. Great result. Seth Rollins cuts a promo, and I was really surprised that I mentioned this last week. I said, let's try to put some effort into the sermons. Let's try to make it like a church. Okay, they didn't really go that far. But, they kind of did put, like, the stained glass window design of Seth, like, big poster at the entrance ramp. 2 posters. Like, that was kind of cheap, honestly. Like, if you look at, like, the MVP lounge, and then you look at Seth Rollins' sermon, the only difference was there was a couch in the ring for the MVP lounge. They had the posters up on the easels. It was the same thing. Anyway, I'll give credit to them for trying slightly to make this a bit more. But Seth Rollins is so much better. Oh, positive thing to be said on this show. A positive thing. Let's savor the moment. Okay, that's long enough. Seth Rollins is way more bearable as a heel. Actually, it's decent. What he was saying was decent. He's trying to get into this Messianic character, and I like it. I feel like there's so many other directions they could take this in that could be so much better and build on this character faster and more effectively, but it's WWE. So what do you expect, right? So anyway, we've got run-ins. The Viking Raiders. Seth Rollins goes to the entrance ramp, takes the stunner from Kevin Owens. Once again, Samoa Joe is nowhere to be found. So I don't know. Did he get suspended? Is he injured again? I don't know. AJ Styles returns. So it looks like AJ is going to have a match at Mania. And he goes through a bunch of names. Shawn Michaels, which that would be interesting. The Undertaker. Okay, I wouldn't really go with that one. The result on that one's a little bit too obvious who would win that one. But he runs through a bunch of names. He throws in Ricochet's name. Ricochet comes out. And for some reason, I really think we're just going to get Ricochet versus AJ for the 90th time at WrestleMania. I'm actually pretty sure of it. Anyway, Carl Anderson and AJ and Ricochet end up having a match. So, it's really funny they have AJ Styles telling Ricochet that no one believes you're going to win the world title from Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia. And he's right. And everyone knows that he's right. Because, are we really going to get Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania? Is that the match we're going to get? This is so stupid. Did the Saudis request to have this match? Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet? Somehow I kind of doubt that. Why are we having this match if we already know the result? It's probably the most pathetic booked match I've ever seen since Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar. This is probably even less so, because at least at that time, Finn Balor was a world champion. So it's like, okay, so he's a world champion, so at least there's a little something there. Still bad, but at least there was a little something there. Here you got nothing there. Just Ricochet winning in a very unbelievable fashion against Bobby Lashley, pinning a guy double his size. And we're supposed to sit back and say, this is great. So Ricochet beats Carl Anderson. No surprise there. There's a point to this. He's facing Brock Lesnar. So his opponent building up to Brock Lesnar is one half of a tag team. Liv Morgan cuts a promo backstage. What was she even saying? Like honestly, I don't know. Ruby Riot's making me look to the future. Like, I don't know. Somehow Sarah Logan is in the Elimination Chamber for the women. Where did she come from? Like I don't know. Like, you would think that they would have done like a Riot Squad reunion or something. Not that like I'm asking for that, but like they get them all in the same match together. It looks like they were going to do something, unless like Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan team up against Ruby Riot. I don't know. Like, honestly, like, this is just horrendous in every single way possible. And during the promo with Shayna Baszler, it made it very obvious that Shayna's going to win it. And sometimes there's no problem with certain things being predictable, but this is overly predictable. Like, you're going to have her go through the whole match just so we know she's going to win. Like, obviously, you know it's not going to be Ruby Riott. You know it's not going to be Liv Morgan. You know it's not going to be Sarah Logan. That's half of the wrestlers. There's only 2 others. Who else is going to possibly win this? Who are the others? Asuka and Kairi Sane? Is that who we're going to get in there? And then last but certainly least, the Viking Raiders and Kevin Owens defeat AOP and Moifi by disqualification when Seth Rollins ran in. The Street Profits run in. They're going to be facing off against Rollins and Moifi for the tag titles at Super Showdown. Kevin Owens hits a stunner on Moifi, and, that's basically it. Just so bad. Like, you had this big moment at the beginning of the show that's basically a repeat of last week. You could argue it was slightly more brutal, whatever you want to make the argument, but, like, guys, come on. Like, this show, they don't even have the decency to update you on, like, anything that's going on with Edge or Matt Hardy throughout the night. Like, yeah, this guy took a big chair shot to the head. Go check it out online, guys. We don't have time to give you updates on this guy that got his head caved in by a chair. The Cringy Lynch segment, Cringy Lynch lived up to her name with her down payment and take a bite out of the competition from Shayna Baszler. I mean, you just have perfect examples on this show of why Raw just wastes your time. SmackDown, WWE as a whole, waste your time. Wrestling as a whole, waste your time. AEW, WWE, it's a waste of time. Nothing happens on these shows. They're boring as hell. And not only that, but it's seemingly, they go out of their way to make sure it's extra bad. Like bad puns in wrestling promos. Like, are you kidding me with this garbage? And just like pure maintenance, like, let's do a little something here with Drew and MVP while we buy time for Brock's next appearance. Absolutely going nowhere. Like, even AJ Styles issuing a challenge. Is maybe someone going to come out? Okay, like, I know people are going to say, oh, have patience. No, I'm sorry. On a show that has nothing going on, I refuse to have patience and wait for something. I'm supposed to have patience when nothing happens? There should be at least one important thing going on in this show. Can you name at least one important thing going on? No, you can't. And I'm sorry, not even Orton and Matt Hardy is an important thing because he's not even involved in the feud. It's between Edge and Orton. Matt Hardy's just, just an old rival of Edge's. An old friend, an old acquaintance, shall we say. It's not even Christian. It's not Lita. It's not none of these people. So, like, okay. Or Beth Phoenix. Okay, I understand they still don't want to touch the women. But can you imagine if Randy Orton gave an RKO to Beth Phoenix when she comes out to try to reason with him? Could you imagine the heat? Now, there's a possibility they could still do that, but I really doubt they will. I don't know. He could inadvertently knock her off the apron, inadvertently elbow her or kick her or something like that. I think it would be good. And are you telling me Beth Phoenix wouldn't be, agreeing to do that for her husband? Just give her a nice little safe spot, something in there, I'm just saying it's an idea. It would sure as hell be a lot better than all this garbage. Well, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you actually somehow, some way, through some weird alternate dimension style of thinking, think that this show was good? Let me know down in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.